Okay, this is a review of how to define and understand meter, compound, and simple time signatures. And then we're going to talk about rebeaming as well. So, and you should grab a piece of paper and write these out so you're physically doing what I'm doing, because the kinesthetic part of it will make it stick in your head much better than just listening and going, uh-huh. Okay, so we have a time signature. It's got a top number and a bottom number. Notice that it does not have a fraction, numerator, denominator line there. That's wrong, okay? So we want to make sure that we don't ever do that. And we have a term that would define this. And then we also want to be able to interpret this and say, from this, do we know what gets a beat? And when we divide the beat, what that looks like, or the division of the beat, okay? This is sort of pre-work so that we can be functional in other things. In and itself doesn't do anything, but if you don't understand this part, then rebeaming and stuff doesn't make any sense. And rebeaming is actually important. Notating music in correct rhythmic units, their beat packages and things like that, is the way that you understand how to read music rhythmically and how you interpret the sounds you hear and go write it down. We did this in class where it's like, if you have something that goes like do-da-ba-dit, do-din-do-din, do-da, it's like, how do you write that down? That's like do-da-ba-dit. It's got like a short note and then another long note, or a short note with a rest after it, and then another short note, and then it's got a bunch of really short notes. But what does that look like? Well, if we start to think in terms of meter and in terms of beats and how that gets notated and looks correct when we do it, then it helps us organize how we think about that music and comprehend it better. We'll show you what that looks like a little bit later here. So if you haven't, go get yourself a piece of paper and write out term and beat and division of the beat. And let's put this time signature right here. And the first thing we're going to ask you is this a compound or simple time signature? And we know that if it's got a 6, 9, or 12 on top, it's compound. And if it's the top number is not one of those, it's simple, right? So this is simple. Okay, and before we go on, we're just going to do that for all of them so you get repetition, okay? 9, that's part of 6, 9, or 12 on the top, the number right here. That means that this is compound, right? Compound. Now, it doesn't tell us how many beats there are, well, until we manipulate it, but there's another term. Is it duple, 2 beats, triple, quadruple, etc. 12, that's part of the 6, 9, and 12, so that's compound as well, okay? 3, well, it's a multiple of the 6, or division, you know, but it's not. If it's not 6, 9, or 12, even though it's tempting with a 3, it's still just 3 beats, so it's simple, right? It's not a 6, 9, or 12, it's simple. 5, 4, that's kind of weird. Well, it's simple because it's not 6, 9, or 12. I know we'll find some exceptions to this general broad rule, but this is going to work for you 98% of the time. All right, this is a symbol you have to understand means 2, 2. This cut time, it's a Renaissance symbol, prolation symbol that has held down and got used for other things. You'll learn more about what these kind of things look like. They had like this, and they had like this, and they had like this, and they had all these things in the Renaissance to give you different rhythmic modes or styles of rhythm. It's kind of like a proto time signature before they thought of it that way, but it means 2, 2. And so the top number is not 3, 6, sorry, it's not 6, 9, or 12, so it's simple, right? And here's my 6 on top, so that's compound. All right, we're gonna go one step further and say, how do we interpret the bottom number based on what we see here, okay? And then how do we know how many beats? Is it simple duple, simple triple, simple quadruple, etc., right? All right. So, if it's simple, right, then the bottom note denotes a beat value, what gets the beat, okay? So, and the top note tells you how many of them there are there, so how many beats. So if it's simple, you can just look at the top number, and however many beats that is, you convert into a word to describe it. Simple time signature, 2 on top, this means this is a simple duple, right? It's 2 beats per measure, and the beats are simple, so they divide evenly into 2 parts, okay? We're gonna ignore compound, let's go to simple here. Simple, the top number tells us how many beats there are. So 3 beats is called triple, okay? And simple 5. Well, we haven't really used this term very much, but that would be quintuple, wouldn't it? Quintuple. 6 beats would be sextuple, 7 would be septuple, etc. Right? Doesn't matter whether it's compound or simple. That's the word you use to describe 5 beats. Okay? Simple. 2, 2. Top number tells us how many beats. This is also simple duple. Okay? Well, it doesn't look like there's any 4-beat things here. So that's how we do this. If it's simple, top number tells you how many beats there are. Right? 3, 5, 2. Okay? All right. Let's talk about compound. So compound, well, I'll tell you the trick and then hopefully you'll see why it is later. You just take the top number and you divide it by 3. And that's how many beats you have, right? So 9 divided by 3 is 3, yes? 3 beats in a measure is a compound triple, right? 4 divided by 3 is going to be 4. 4 beats in a measure is going to be quadruple. Compound quadruple. And simple, 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 here we are. 2 beats in a measure because 6 divided by 3 equals 2, so you've got duple. Okay? So that's how we define these things. 2, 4 is simple duple. 6, 2, 6 anything will be compound duple, right? 12 anything will be compound quadruple. 3 anything will be simple triple, that kind of thing, right? Now, here's where it gets a little more interesting. We need to know what a beat looks like and what the division of the beat looks like. Now, the defining feature of simple time signatures is that the beat divides into 2 parts, right? Simple means the beat breaks into 2 parts, right? And if it's compound, it means that the beat breaks naturally into 3 parts, okay? So let's just start with simple. If you have a simple time signature, the bottom note number denotes a note value that is the beat. And here's where I'd like you to do this kinesthetic thing with me. If you haven't, you could even just put your finger on the video and do it with me. But we're going to take this bottom number right here. It's simple time signature. This tells me what gets a beat, right? That's what we want to know. That's a beat, okay? And what gets a beat? Well, the quarter note. So in this case, a quarter note equals a beat, okay? We're just going to leave that there for a minute, okay? Here, compound. Compound, this is an 8th note here. That does not tell you what gets a beat. It tells you what gets the division of the beat. And in class, we talked about why that is, and we showed you that there's not a good way of representing what gets a beat, because a beat would be a dotted quarter note in this case. And there's no number that easily expresses that on the bottom like here. So they've expanded it out. So what we want to know is in compound, this number here, the 8th note, represents the division of the beat, not the beat. And if you've got that down, you're in good shape, okay? And remember that in compound, 3 divisions of the beat combine together to make a beat. So to remind us of that, even though the 8th note is the division of the beat, we're going to put 3 of them here to remind ourselves that compound time signatures divide into 3 parts naturally, right? I'll give you an example of what that means in a minute, okay? So let's go down the list here. Compound quadruple. Well, doesn't matter about the quadruple. Compound means this is not the beat. Do this with me. Come all the way over. It means it's the division of the beat, and the division of the beat in compound is 3 parts, so 3 quarter notes. This will be important because we're going to add these together to tell us what a beat is, right? You divide the beat, division of the beat into 3 parts. That's what you get, okay? Simple. Well, back to simple. This is an 8th note. It tells us, because it's simple, that it's this right here. It's the beat, not the division of the beat. And 8th note is the beat, right? That's what it is right there, okay? Simple quintuple. Doesn't matter about the quintuple. This is the bottom note right here. It's a quarter note, and it's simple, so it's a beat, right? The beat looks like this, right? Okay? Simple duple, well, duple doesn't matter, but the 2 on the bottom tells us a half note is what gets a beat right there like that, okay? And then this is compound, which means that this is not the beat. This is the division of the beat right there. And we need 3 of these because the beat divides up into 3 parts. That's what it means when you divide it, right? In compound. All right, now we just find out the other piece of information by either dividing this or adding those together, okay? So for instance, if I've got a beat and it's a quarter note, right? And it's simple, it's going to divide into 2 parts. We break this into 2 parts and it looks like this. We divide it and that's what your division of the beat looks like, okay? If we have compound, we know that this is the division of the beat. 3/8 notes together is how we divided the beat up. So if we assemble those together to make a beat, right? 2/8 notes equals a quarter note. And then another 1/8 note right there equals a dot. Compound time signatures or meters always have a beat that have a dot because you have to make the, put these together and then add 50% more, okay? Let's have a look here. Compound quadruple. 3 of these are going to add together to make a beat, right? So 2 of them added together makes a half note. The other one adds a dot right there, okay? Simple. This is my beat, divides into 2 parts. An 1/8 note split into 2 parts equals 2 16th notes, okay? Simple quintuple, quintuple. Okay, well, the quarter note in this case is getting the beat. So we divide that into 2 parts, and it looks like that right there. Here we have another beat equals this. It's simple, it breaks into 2 parts. So that's my beat, that breaks into 2 parts. That's my division of the beat right there. And then here, these 3 things, because I'm in compound, are the divisions of the beat. You add them together, it makes a beat. So these 2 added together equals a whole note. And then the third one, you get the dot. Again, double check yourself. Always compound meter has a beat that has a dot on it because it's got to get broken into 3 parts. Simple meter only has notes without dots on them because they get broken into 2 parts. Your division of the beats, always simple ones are going to be 2 parts that will join together, and compound's always going to have 3 parts that join together to make it like that. And you kind of go, okay, good. Let's memorize that. Next week as we get ready for finals, because it's the last week before finals, you'll get to do sort of this kind of stuff in class and a little bit for homework to get you more comfortable with that. But what's it good for other than saying you know this? Well, because the way you write the music, okay, rhythmically, will suggest things to you. So let me give you a quick example before we dive into this. Let's say you have a piece of music that has an 8 quarter note and an 1/8 note and an 1/8 note and a quarter note, okay? How do you play that? Well, long and short and short and long, but where does the accent go? It depends. If I were in 6/8 time, then this would be 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1 and 2 and da, 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 right? So this would be like strong and strong, right? For 1, 2, compared to these ones here. But if I'm in 3/4 time, then this is 1, and these 2 right here form the second beat, and you beam them together, and they look that way, right? And then there, and this is 1, 2, and 3, right? 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, right? Your emphasis and how you articulate it changes drastically depending on where you feel the beats, where your accents are going to be, right? Compared to the non-beat notes. So when you have music, like I've written out some music here, and this could be something you heard and wrote down, or could be something that you made up on your own. You go, first I got a long note and I counted it, it took me forever, and it's just this long, and then these ones like this and this and this, but who can play this? I mean, I know there's no tempo and stuff like that, so it's tough to know how to interpret it, but like, do you go like, da, 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 it's like, doesn't make any sense. And here, da, 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 it's like, I don't know. It becomes a mess after just a little bit because we don't know where our beats are, so we don't know how to interpret it. So what we want to do here is we want to apply what we know about what gets a beat, and then renotate this so that the beats are seeable and viewable, okay? If we ever cross over a beat, we want to know where that next beat starts. Now, there's a couple exceptions to that. At the beginning of a measure, if you've got a note that goes through more than one beat, that's fine, right? If you have certain idioms, like if we're in 2/4 time, or 4/4 time, or cut time even, and you see something that goes like da da da, this is crossing over the middle of the measure, and normally we'd say we don't want to do that, but that happens repetitively in marches and things, and we've just gotten good at reading them. So there are a few exceptions to this. Usually, though, we want to make sure we know where every beat is, and we want to make sure that we know especially where we cross over from the first half of the measure into the next measure. Unless you've got a simple rhythm that's always been easy to count. Like here in 4/4 time, we're not going to break this into 2 quarter notes with the tie between them because we're really good at counting 1, 2, and then coming in on 3 right there, okay? So let's just start with that as a caveat. What are the rules? Number 1, okay, we wanna make and fill beats, okay? And then 2, maybe we have to break notes across beats, right? Across 2 C's, 1 C, right? Beats, all right? And then 3, we need to join beams inside beats, okay? Cleaning it up at the end so it's easy to read, okay? And it's also possible that we want to put in measured lines and things like that, okay? Let me show you how this works. We're in 4/4 time. This is a simple time signature. It tells us that this is the beat. So quarter notes get the beat. If you think of this as like, well, there's a quarter note, and 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 then there's like a bar line, and there's a quarter note, and there's a quarter. This is the simplest way, you know, apart from just making like a whole note for the whole thing. But that's how you can see each beat, right? So what we're going to do now is, so we're going to make and fill beats. We're going to drop these down and fill each one of these up, okay? Right, so for instance, we're going to drop this down. It's going to start at the beginning of the measure. It fills up this entire beat plus the next beat. And because it's a simple rhythm, we're not going to break it and say this is a beat and then tie it to the next one and stuff like that, okay? 2 whole beats. That means this next one starts right here, like that. Is it full? Have we filled up this entire beat? We have not. There's still more room. There's another 1/8 note's worth of room in this beat. So you're going to bring this one down here like that, okay? Now, is it full? No, there's still another 1/16 note worth of space right here. We have an 1/8 note next. Okay, here's where we're going to break notes across beats. Because we don't want this entire 1/8 note, and we certainly want to see where this beat begins. So we're just going to take what we need from this to complete the beat, which is another 1/16 note right there, yes? So that's there, and that's there, and this is here. But now what's left over? Well, another 1/16 note, which we're going to put in the next beat right there. And then, since this is an 1/8 note, we're just going to tie these ones together. So it's still an 1/8 note. It's just been broken up with a tie so that this perfectly fills a beat right here, 1/8 and 2/16. And then the leftover is clearly in the next beat, right? And now we drop this one down here like that, and drop that one down there like that, and that one right there like that. And that is 4/16 notes, which is a beat. That's all in this beat together. Good. Okay, we're good. Now, before we go on, let's just do this last thing, joining beams, so it's easy to see, right? All right, I'm going to rewrite it one more time right here. So we start here, goes for 2 beats, that's fine. We don't have to do anything to this. But you see all these notes right here with beams? They're all inside 1 beat together. So we're going to go 1/8 note and 2/16 notes, and you beam them together. That's so much easier to tell when it starts and what it is. And then this one ties over into the next beat. These 4/16 notes right there, they all beam together because they're inside a beat together, like that. And this gobbledygook of a mess right here, I love that word, gobbledygook. I'm pretty sure it just means messy, whatever. Okay, now you can see there's 1, 2, 3, and a E and a 1, 2, ba, 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 ba. You can see where the beats start, how they're organized, how they relate to each other, right? Let's do it for the next measure, okay? So we bring this one down here and we say, good on ya. But there's still some stuff left over here, right? There's another 8th note worth, and we've got a note that's longer than an 8th note. So we need to fill this beat with an 8th note, but we're gonna have to break this apart and then tie across, right? So we take the 8th note out of there, and then we tie across, and then how much is left of this? Well, it looks like a dotted quarter, right? So we can take the whole dotted quarter and drop it down there, but this quarter note fills up this much of the thing already, right? So in fact, this half note's gonna go halfway through this beat, through this whole beat into the next one. So I'm gonna take this and drop that next 8th. So 1/8, 2/8, 1/4 to the half note. There's all of it right there, right? Took part of it, put it here, tied the rest over, found that this still exceeded this beat, so we broke that off and tied it over. It's still a half note, right? It's just broken and apportioned correctly. Now we have a quarter note right there. It's gonna start right there. We're gonna take half of it and chonk it right there and tie another half over to the next beat because we've filled up this beat, right? And then the last is the 8th note right there, all right? So now let's join beams. And I'm gonna show you there's some exceptions to some rules, but let's just start with join beams. This 8th note and this 8th note go together like that. It ties over into a quarter note, that's good, which then ties over to here, and these two 8th notes are in a thing together like that, and that ties over like that right there. And that's perfectly readable, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and, right? So 1, 2, ba, 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 right? Ba, 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 ba. It's all readable because you can keep track of where your beats are. Now, there are some exceptions, like you can maybe simplify. Maybe that's the last. Simplify where simplify where it's appropriate. For instance, there's a common idiom when that's inside 2 beats and this is inside 2 beats where you could write this like this. Oh, sorry, not that. Like that, right? Because we're used to reading that. 1 and come back in on 3. So this could be simplified into that right there. And then here, again, this is also a commonly done thing too, where if you're inside a 2-beat pattern at the beginning or end, you can just combine this into a quarter note. It's not so difficult. Once we break into 16ths and things though, it becomes where we have to keep it split. Either one of these is fine, right? Right? Bum, 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 ba, right? Or bum, bum, ba, ba, same thing. Okay? Nice. See how that works? When you think about it, right, in terms of beats, then it becomes easy to